this looks good.
It looks good. I like it.
Welcome to Soul Seekers TV. I'm Patricia.
Woo! And I'm Linda Krause-Barnett, one of your soul guides, and we are so glad to have you. If you're on, let us know you're here. Give us your name, where you're from. Send some hearts, and let us know that you're here and participating.
Absolutely. And feel free to share this video if you think there's anybody who's been following our experiment that would like to continue and find out our results. So what is this experiment we're talking about? So the experiment we're talking about is we decided as soul seekers to launch into doing experiments, and we found this awesome book called E Squared by Pam Grout that actually has 9 energy experiments to prove that your thoughts create a reality. So we thought, wouldn't that be a great thing for us to do all together and just do these experiments as a collective? So, Linda's like, so we did the do to abides was the first principle, and that was literally putting out into the universe the intention to get evidence that there is a dude or God or spirit or universe to contact to see evidence of the field of potentiality, the field of possibilities, as Pam Grout refers to it. So that was last week, and we shared that result with you, and you can find that on our Facebook page, Soul Seekers TV. And this week is the Volkswagen.
And I love this one because it's true. Like I really knew when I read the principle, I'm like, oh yeah, of course. Like I've, and it's just that idea, the concept that that if you think of something specific, you will generate more of that in your reality, so that if you are specific with your request, then that is what you manifest. And so the 2 examples she gave were the sunset beige cars and the yellow butterflies. So if you set the intention to see more of those specific things, then in your reality, you will be more aware of noticing those specific things. And every time I say sunset beige cars, like I think you should start, because I think that's a very, very on point story to kind of explain what this experiment was intended to do.
Okay, so I will do that. So like we said, the first experiment was just evidence that, the dude exists, or evidence that there's a field of potentiality, which we both already knew, and we talked about that. This week was being more specific, and I have to say that I didn't, it always happens that once we do our talk, once we come live, that kind of ends up being sort of my intention setting, and I hadn't set the official intention yet. And one day I'm driving down the street, and it was, a few days after, or a couple of days after we'd recorded the principle, and I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, what is a sunset beige car? Like, I wouldn't even know what to look for. Like, is it a specific type of beige? Is it like, like gray?
That's exactly what I thought. I thought it was like an ombre car.
Yeah. That's why we're friends. So I was like, what does it look like? And all of a sudden, I kid you not, coming up like beside me in the car, I'm driving, thinking about this, I see a car, and immediately when I see it, I'm like, that's sunset beige. So I go to, I'm at a stoplight, and I quickly go like sunset beige cars into my phone, and I look, and sure enough, it was the exact color that was there. And so literally within moments, I have that car, I make a left, I see another car, and another sunset beige car. And
it's like, who the hell has sunset beige cars? You all the sunset beige cars in the world were in Long Island on that day.
Exactly. So I think I saw a total of 4. So as far as my lab report, I saw a total of 4 sunset beige cars. So the first 24 hours was supposed to be that, or something that you choose. And then the second 24 hours was supposed to be yellow butterflies. So I set a better intention for the yellow butterflies. And I went out, and this was yesterday. So yesterday I went out for a run. Don't be impressed, I don't do it that often. But I went out yesterday, and I'm like running, and I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, okay, yellow butterflies. I intend to see yellow butterflies. And sure enough, I see some butterflies, but I'm like, are they white butterflies? Are they yellow butterflies? I guess it could be yellow. And I'm, second guessing everything that I'm seeing, and I'm if you saw the video from last week, you know that I'm always looking for the evidence that I believe is there, right? That's kind of, I always look for the positive. So you may have seen the same butterflies that I saw and went, they're white. They're definitely not yellow enough. I don't mean you, Liz.
I know.
I mean you,
Yeah,
whoever's watching.
just in general.
In general. But with me, I was like, are they white? Are they yellow? They're kind of a light yellow. I think that, if I go to a paint store, there's definitely in the yellow department, like in the yellow section, there would be a color for these butterflies. So I was desperately trying to
Justify.
make these butterflies yellow. And I saw about like 3 or 4 of them on my trip. But I can't say for sure that it was yellow. And I will say that I didn't feel satisfied that I was shown yellow butterflies. Like, I did not feel like, oh my God, definitely. Like, I didn't get that one where it was like, oh my God, that is totally a yellow butterfly. I am positive. So what about you?
Yep. There's this underlying theme that is pretty, I think, worth analyzing. I haven't peeled the layers back yet. But what I was saying in our first stretched out video is that when I initially set the intention, I set the intention for my first thing to be peacocks. And I have a picture on my phone, but I'm using my phone. So I set the intention, I drive, I pick up my kids, I take my son to swim, and one of my very best friends comes in to the pool because her son swims with my son, and she's this gorgeous woman wearing this tank top with this long skirt, and it's peacocks all over the skirt, all over. So I kind of took my breath away, and I made my daughter take pictures of her. I was like, take pictures. I can't believe it's peacock on your skirt. And I think that it feels so good when you ask and ask and you shall receive. That feeling is one that feels good, and we want it. And we want it just all the time. I want it all the time. And I used to joke with my friend Tony when he was alive. We used to make this joke, like, whenever he was looking to buy a new car, whatever color car he wanted was original until then we'd see him everywhere. It'd be like this burgundy wine color, this really pretty wine color. And he's like, why does everybody have my color? But both experiments now, the weird thing is that for the most part, no, I didn't walk around seeing peacocks for 48 hours, and I didn't walk around seeing rainbows for 48 hours, which is the other thing I asked for. And it was kind of the same with experiment 1. Like, it wasn't this overwhelming evidence to support the idea. I'm backed by the fact that I have proven these concepts to myself before, so I know they exist. So I feel okay with not having the results that I anticipated, because I do know the experiments in my own life, when I wasn't calling them experiments, have totally worked, But there seems to be some resistance to making the experiments work when I'm calling the experiments, and when I'm giving the world a deadline, 48 hours, let's go. I don't know if it's my aversion to deadlines. I don't know, but it's interesting.
I'll tell you, I can totally relate to that, because I feel that there's an additional pressure, whether it's the deadline or the okay, I'm asking you to show up for me. And I think that that's part of what it is. And, those of you who follow, you already know, I look at everything like a relationship, right? And so it's like when you give, the person that you're with an ultimatum, right? And you say, you better show up for me right now.
Or we're done.
And it feels scary. And it's like, or we're done. And obviously we're not saying to the universe, if I don't see my yellow butterflies, man, we're done. That's not what's happening. But I think there's some resistance, and both of us were so similar in that sense because of that pressure, where it's we're afraid. And I can't speak for you, but I can speak for myself. And it's connected to, we all have these wounds that we all need to heal to expand and grow for the highest and greatest good of ourselves and everyone around us. And it's connected to that wound for me. And it's do I matter enough for the universe to send me a sign, and Linda and I had a very long conversation, and we'll talk about this at some point, but my wound that I've come to discover is that little girl deep inside of me, she doesn't feel like she matters. And so, do I matter enough for the universe to send me the signs I'm asking for? And, that resistance that I put out there, is part of what these experiments are about. And that's why it's so important for us to do this together. Because I truly believe that as we go through these experiments, we are going to heal those wounds. As long as you leave yourself open to that. And, the fortunate thing with Linda and I, whether or not we find the things that we're asking for, or whether or not the experiments work out for us in the typical way, the thing is the pursuit doesn't end, right? The pursuit is not going to end because Linda and I fundamentally believe that we are soul seekers, that it is a process and a journey, and that we know that there is something much bigger than us that is sort of, I was going to say, like, infiltrating our spirit, right? Like there's a light, there's a love, there's something bigger that exists, and we just need to connect to it. And so as we were talking about, like, the light switch, the light switch, sometimes we turn it off by accident because we don't realize that we're turning it off, but we want to turn it on. We want to turn that light switch on so the energy and the power goes through. And sometimes when it hits the wounds, when it hits our limiting beliefs, we turn off the light because we're scared, and sometimes it's conscious and sometimes it's subconscious. So if you're experiencing this, we want to hear about that for you too. And if anybody who's watching, or whether you're watching live or you're watching the replay, share with us your own experiences. Like maybe you found like 12 yellow butterflies. Maybe you didn't see any. And the feeling that you feel, whether or not the experiment worked for you, is also very telling of where you need to look inside. Like what parts of you need to examine to open yourself up. Because I can tell you from my experience, and what Linda and I believe and why we're here, is that we know without a shadow of a doubt that all of these things are possible. We're just trying to tap in, tune in, or what's Abraham Hicks, like tap in, tune in.
Turn on.
Turn on, that's it. Tap in, tune in, turn on. That connection to the higher power, that connection to the light.
And look, at the end of the day, we all come into these things with our own beliefs, whether they're spiritual, religious, whether you're thinking 3D, 5D. There's so many concepts out there right now.
Right.
But the bottom line is this, everybody. The bottom line is that these are fun experiments to interact with your field. Okay? That is absolutely the way this goes down. But what the bigger picture is for us that we're trying to convey, and I hope that we are, is that we are taking you on a soul-seeking journey, regardless of whether these experiments work or don't work. They're fun. It's fun to play with your reality. It's fun to play with your world. It's fun to be in control of your thoughts and know that they give out an energy, and that energy plays and comes in, and you get and you ask and it comes back. That's all exciting because that's why we're here. That it's to question, it's to get answers, it's to see what works, what doesn't. I am confident that my thoughts create my reality, but I want to see how this works. I want to see people's perception of the question, do my thoughts create my reality? Because there's tons of ways to prove that they do. And right now we're working on this way. And so much of your frequency at the moment has everything to do with how this pans out. I've had a really tough week personally. I've had some things going on, and I can feel, you and I have talked about it, I feel that, I'm not like totally, I got some curves going on. Things aren't in perfect alignment, and it's been tough. But that's what it means to be a soul seeker, to me. What does it mean to me? It means that I appreciate the curveballs. I appreciate the fact that sometimes, it's juicy and I'm like, woo, I'm in alignment, I'm vibing, things are good, I feel it, everything's coming my way, and that's a great place to be. But what's really a soul-seeking adventure for me is when it doesn't feel that way, when I'm not in alignment and my life is tough and I have some personal things I'm trying to work on and my energy's kind of all over the place. Do I trust in those moments? Can I create magic? Because that's when you need it most, you know? You need it most when you're not feeling like you've got any, you know? So that's when you want to fill your cup, and that's when you want to say, like, look, right now, I really could use a yellow butterfly because shit's not feeling great, you know? If you could just please send me a butterfly, I would appreciate it. I would like to know that I have a friend. And so you kind of get more desperate and you long for it more. And I guarantee the moment I relax and the moment I'm like, I release, right? Which is why Pam, as Miss Grout, is so smart and constantly reminding us to release after the experiment. I'm going to see, like, I'm going to come outside. There's going to be a peacock on my lawn, a rainbow in the sky, and, like, the peacock's going to be talking to yellow butterflies. For sure, that's what's going to happen. But I'm not going to have that reality until, you know, it's like when you're tight and you're sore muscles, you go to the gym and your muscles are sore, you can't do a split. You know, you can't stretch and be, like, you're most flexible when you're tight. So it's a process. And that's what soul seeking is. It's a process, it's a life, it's a journey. And even the bad is good because it leads us to the next level and the next level and the next level. And that's the whole, like, thing, right?
Yeah, totally. And actually, what you were saying about when we need it the most, Marissa, messaged us and said, I think because time only exists on this plane in the way we know it to be, you will definitely get the signs you ask for. It won't be on your time planes. The universe, Marissa's a good friend of mine and she's very magical. The universe will bring it to you when you need it most in divine timing. You guys are awesome.
Marissa, that's like, yes, divine timing. I love that. And I know that. You're right. We forget because that's why I think it's like the universe is like, 48 hours? I'll give it to you when I want to give it to you and when you need it, you know?
But I think that's part of, like, what we impose on it, because that's the tricky thing, I think, for all of us to understand is the fact that it's a co-creation. Like, yes, the universe, but the universe is not a separate entity. It is a part of our identity. Like, it's a part of
we are
us.
it and it is us.
So, and it is that part of us that doubts that we can call it into our existence in our time frame. That is what prevents us from seeing the stuff. It's our own construct where we're like, nope, I already know it's not going to happen. I mean, and you and I both are the same. Like, we're both like, I'm totally going to see this, but it's not going to be on the timeline because I'm a rebel and I never see things the same time as people. Like, I mean, you know, even I think back to my life in sitcoms, right? Like, all the popular sitcoms when I was growing up, I saw them, like, way later. Like, I'd catch up on, like, season 5. I'd be like, oh my God, anybody heard about Friends? What a great show, Friends. And people were like,
it's been out. Yeah,
it's like, we know that show really well, and it feels like this a little bit, and it felt like that even entering into this realm as I started to open up my awareness. Like, and you and I talked about that when we met, is that we were walking in and we were thinking, oh my God, this is so magical, and other people are like, it sure is. We've been doing this for years, and we're like, I feel like a newbie. Like, what do you mean? Like, we get excited about the silliest little things, and everybody were like, oh, wait until this happens, and we're like, what?
Yeah, one of the most magical things, so I'm just going to tell this story. I think we're going to be a little shorter this week, but I got to tell this story. It has absolutely nothing to do with the Volkswagen Jetta experiment, but it's everything to do with your reality being a reflection of this. Okay, so it has everything to do with that. So totally relevant. But Trish and I were at an event. We were at Infinite Receiving, and she was emceeing. But at this particular moment, she was sitting next to me at a table, and I had her on my side over here, and we were holding hands, and we were just like, it was the beginning of our juice together. You know, it was kind of the beginning of us going, wow, we're strong and magical independently, but we hold hands and we touch and it's like electric, right? And it was the beginning of that. So we were super, super close in a very short amount of time. And she sits next to me and we're holding hands and I'm just feeling like this, like the way you would see electricity. It's just coursing and it's coming back in through my head and going through and coursing back in and coming through. And in that moment, I had my phone face up in front of me. Now, I wasn't touching my phone because I was holding her hand on this side, and I don't know what was going on this side, but regardless, I wasn't touching my phone. And I just was like, what is this? Like, it was a lot more energy than I had kind of felt in one place at the same time. And I looked down and my phone is open to the notes section and one of the notes is open and it says, I love you, typed in. Do you remember this?
Yes,
and I looked down and I'm like, trash! My phone is typing by itself. Like, what the fuck? Because literally it just said, I love you. And we couldn't figure out how it got into my phone. And it was just
right. Like,
did I have a stroke and not know? Like, what's happening? And it was confirmation for me at that moment that the universe really was like, look, you're in the zone, you're in the vortex, and we got you, and we love you, and welcome. And that's what all these experiments are intended to do. And know that exists regardless of the results.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. So we want to hear from you. So if you have been doing these experiments, or if you haven't, then that's okay, but you'd like to, we will put in the comments the bit.ly link for you to join. It's not too late to join. It's not too late to start. You will get sent the emails that we've already sent out so you can start the experiment with us. Or you can just go to our Soul Seekers TV Facebook page and you will find the videos there of the first principle and the second principle, which this is just the second, so it's still early and you can join us. And if you have any experiences, please reach out to us. If you're on the email list, just reply to the email. If you're not, send us a private message, either through Facebook or Instagram or wherever you find us. We would love to hear.
Or send us pictures. If you see something that you asked for, send us a picture. Take a picture if you can and send it. We'd love to share those. We'll post them on Soul Seekers TV and share them with the world and let people know what you're up to.
Yeah, and you can directly post on our Soul Seekers
Absolutely.
TV page. Like, if you have something to share about your experience, you can comment either on the video or make your own post on Soul Seekers TV, or just tag us. Make your own post and then tag us. That would be awesome.
All right.
Marissa's joining.
Yay! Well, everybody, we love you. We can't wait to see you on Monday at 11:11, where we will introduce the third principle. I don't know what it is, but we will surprise you with it.
I was like, I have it right here.
And stay tuned if you want to know what it is and what it's about. I think if nothing else, it's cool to see what she has presented as experiments and what the universe what game next week will be with the universe. So thank you so much for joining us. We hope that you're all soul seeking on your own journey, and we'll see you on Monday.
Oh, and we should say, we've been looking for people to, put themselves on camera and say like what soul seeking means to them. So feel free to also send us that. If you want to just take a little selfie and tell us what soul seeking means to you, you can win a chance to be in our show, which we are putting together right
and it's
now.
awesome.
So, that soon. It's so
okay. Love you guys.
Love
Bye.
you. Bye.